Hi, in this review I want to show you the features and how I like to use the Aeronaut 45 from Tom Bihn. It's a fantastic one bag solution for carry-on and travel. I'll show you how I personally use it, mostly for personal travel, but also occasionally for work, business travel. Explain a little bit why you could possibly see this as the ultimate one bag solution for your travel and carry-on needs. A little bit about the bag first. It's 45 litres, which is a pretty decent size to get a reasonable amount of stuff for travel. I wouldn't say it's going to be competing with your large camping, hiking backpacks that you sometimes see people traveling with. It's a lot more functional in my opinion, and 45 litres is still an awful lot to carry, especially if you're carrying it on your shoulder or on your back. So it's probably pitched at about as big as I'd want to travel with, while still having a decent space and room for odds and ends as we go. Its dimensions are 555 millimeters by 355 millimeters by 230 millimeters, which is 21.9 inches by 14 inches by 9.1 inches, which is pretty much US carry-on sized. I've never had a problem with it on any airline, European, international, domestic US, whatever. And I'll talk about why. Obviously it's a soft-sided bag, so dimensions are conditional on how big stuff you put in it, how much you pack it. But I've never really had a problem at that 555 millimeter kind of limit, which a lot of airlines have. I would have said the 230 millimeter width dimensions probably the one that would be pushing the limits. I know a lot of airlines have a 200 millimeter limit, but again, as long as you don't pack it too heavily too stuffed, it should be okay to squish into that sizer. It weighs 1.4 kilograms for this ballistic nylon version. I personally love the ballistic nylon as a fabric for travel bags. It's really super durable. I mean, there is absolutely no way I would have a concern with this being ripped, torn, staining. I think we can't avoid that necessarily, depending on where you throw your bag and how it's carried and where it's carried. But I have no concern that this bag is going to last and stand up, whether that's the material itself, the high quality zips, the fittings, etc. This version is the navy ballistic, navy blue ballistic, with a northwest sky, which is a light grey interior, which hopefully you can see. Possibly not as colourful inside as the other options, ultraviolet, wasabi, Iberian red, etc. But I really like it. I think it's a very nice combination of colour, but being still a little bit restrained, perhaps conservative even, depending on the type of work that you do. I'm sure this kind of deep blue would work very nicely in a work environment as you travel for work. The other reason I like the blue over, say, a black is just the piping and the colour difference. I really like the fact that you've got the two-tone, whether that's in the zips naturally, the straps, the fabric kind of piping on the end. To compare it to, and this is an older style Aeronaut 45 with the black ballistic, and as you can see, it's not got the two-tone it just all blends in. So I've actually added some colour to the zip pulls just to make it stand out a little bit. I think the red goes really nicely with the Tom Bin label. I have done another video on the two of these and differences between the older and newer version. There's more to it than just the colour changes, which may be interested if you're looking at picking up a second-hand older one versus a new one direct from Tom Bin. So in this video I'm going to show you how I pack it out, use packing cubes, use other bags within it. I am going to attempt to show how a suit can be carried in I don't have a garment folder. I'm going to use a Eagle Creek packet folder to show how that could go into one of these, which hopefully will be useful to show the different orientations and layouts you can use it for. I'll touch on just the fact that I have also owned an Aeronaut 30 in the past, actually in the same navy blue. It's the smaller version of this. I don't have it at the moment to show the size difference, but it's very much an equivalent smaller version of this. I find that the Aeronaut 30 is perfect for those really lightweight trips, but can't quite get as much into it as maybe I'd like for comfort. I'm not an ultralight packer. So the 45 actually doesn't feel that much bigger, especially if it's not overpacked. And because it's squishable, if you're worried about carry-on sizes, even on European airlines, I think you're still good with the 45. So I won't be able to show the differences, but it is just a bigger version of the Aeronaut 30. I'm going to start with the main compartment first. Now I've loaded this out with some packing cubes. I'm a big packing cubes fan. There are lots of different ways you can do this. In this case, I've got two of the small, I think these are the now retired carbon ether fabric, and then a more traditional older style. I think this is steel Halcyon mesh large packing cube. And inside there you've also got the tie-down straps, which I would probably use if I was using business travel, maybe the folder. But even in these cubes you can see here, you know, you can fold up a shirt and trousers or pants to be international. You could put those in there and easily put the straps over the top to keep flat those items you want to keep uncreased. Even with packing folders, garment sleeves, etc., I've never been able to keep my shirts totally crease free, even a non-iron version like this one. So I've resigned myself to light ironings whenever I travel anyway. So a cube is just fine for shirts, as well as perhaps a packing folder. The other benefit of the tie-down straps is, as I mentioned, the depth of the bag, 230 millimeters, is just a little bit bigger than some airline carry-ons. So these tie-down straps can actually be really useful to keep the depth of the bag down, stop it bulging outwards. Of course, it depends what you're packing, but I find those a really neat feature. I don't always use them, but they're handy to have. Also in the inside, you can see that there are these zips which allow the center compartment to expand into these side compartments. It's like a floating divider available on both sides. That, of course, gives you the chance to fit in items that are bigger than just this square shape, which is the natural shape of the bag in the middle compartment. So as I've said, there are a number of cubes you can use, whether it's the large one size to fit it, the smaller ones, which of course can go in either way. I have seen people using cubes stacked sideways. That's a potential, of course, to do it that way. So lots of options. You don't need to use the packing cubes, of course, but they are my preferred way keeping things together. They also in Tombin now make a laundry version, travel laundry stuff sack and cube, two different designs, where essentially you get the two sides of the cube. To be completely honest, I don't feel there's a need for that. When I travel, based on the number of different cubes I've got, once I start wearing the clothes, I just pick one of my cubes to start using as a laundry cube. So when I get to where I'm going, usually the stuff will start to come out of one cube at least, and I'll just start to use that one as the laundry cube for the rest of the trip. So I just rotate the cubes for laundry versus clean, rather than having one with separate sections and dividers. The other thing to note with these cubes is there's usually still space. Even using the cubes sized for the bag, and these are sized for the Aeronaut 45, there's still always space. So I think that's a really nice feature, that even when you're filled your cubes, you can always get something else in and around it. These aren't particularly heavily filled, so actually you can get some stuff on top of the cubes as well. So to show a couple of examples of what might you actually put on top of here, especially if you really want to make this a one bag trip. None of these bags I have here have got things in them, they're just to show how it could work. So this is a Halcyon Daylight briefcase, which as you can see can lie on top. Even if this was lightly filled with a laptop, that could still nicely fit on top there. Possibly even this orientation, but then if you put the bag down here, it might bang the end of your laptop, so maybe that way is best. One other bag is this fantastic steel ballistic Ristretto 13 with again the same Northwest Sky interior, which I don't think they make this color combination at the moment. This is a pretty chunky bag because it's got the foam padding divider in it, but just to show that this will also sit very nicely in the top here. And of course you wouldn't carry two straps for this, you would just use the same strap. This is an absolute shoulder strap. You just detach it from this and put it onto the bag and vice versa. Another bag to show you, this is a burnt orange Daylight backpack in Cordura. Bit too big in terms of if it was packed out, but the benefit of these things, and everybody should have one of these by the way, is that you can just fold it up. That could go on the top, for example, or rolled up, or even, as I said, if there's space at the side, you can just push that straight in there. These things are amazing. They now do them in a lighter ballistic nylon fabric, so I'm going to try and pick one of those up on my next order. The last bag I wanted to show you is possibly a bit of a stretch, but possible. This is a Synapse 19, the smaller of the two Synapse backpacks. This one's a great travel backpack. It's more limited in size to the larger 25 litres, but to be honest, I think it does a fantastic job for its size. Now typically, I guess, this can get away as being a personal item size in some airlines, so you could actually carry both together. But I'm just going to give this a go here and see. It will fit. Now, I probably wouldn't encourage you to try and pack the Aeronaut 45 and then put your things in here and put it together. I just don't think there'll be room when both are filled out. But just to show, if you wanted a empty, and this isn't even empty, I think this has a cash in it and some bits and pieces. So even a lightly packed or almost empty Synapse 19 can fit in a slightly, call that 2/3 full or half full Aeronaut 45. So the last thing in the main compartment is I was going to show you how we could get a suit into a Eagle Creek packing packing folder, and how that could fit into the Aeronaut 45. So I'll grab a suit and we'll see how we get on with that. So I've grabbed a suit. It's probably not particularly pressed at the moment, but it will do for the purposes of this. What I would normally do is just fold the trousers there for a second, open up the cube. There's lots and lots of videos about how to fold a suit. I tend to do the one where you push one of the shoulder pads out and then fold the other one inside it. That's probably a bit hard to see, but you kind of reverse the back in on itself. I'm sure there's plenty of videos out on YouTube you can see for that. And then it just kind of folds in on itself like this. This is terribly, terribly done, but the purpose isn't to show you how to fold a suit, it's whether it fits in the Aeronaut. So I'll just do that on top and then package this up in the folder. So there you go. One suit in a relatively thin, I think this is the medium packing folder, what used to be the 18, I think. The 15 is the small, the 18 is the medium. And what I would do here is make sure the end pocket's empty first, and I'll come back to what's in here in just a second. But making sure that one end here is open. Just slide that in, and there you go. I probably also put the tie-down straps on top of that because I'm looking to keep it uncreased. So, use the tie-down straps there. Now you can see it has gone into the side pocket, but that's okay. It's still got plenty of space in there, both on top, but also to the side as well. So it won't quite fit in the main compartment by itself, but as you can see, there's a suit in a folder. If it were nicely pressed, it would probably still be nicely pressed in there. And that's how you would put a suit into the Aeronaut 45. I'm going to leave the packing folder in there just to show how things can go around it. So we'll move on to the end compartments. Actually, before we do that, you will have seen this in other videos perhaps, but there's some neat features in the main compartment, like these new carry handles, and this pocket here is perfect for just odds and ends. I always carry a Quick-Lip by Lulabop. I think they have new sizes of this as well. There's always one of those in my bags. So we'll close up the main compartment for a minute and take a look at the ends. So the end compartments, you can fit a mesh cube or ether cube. I think I have one here just to show. This is an old style Halcyon one with the mesh in the middle. That of course would be sized perfectly to go into the end. I don't tend to use the end cubes as much, only because I also use the end pockets for toiletries, etc. So here we have a clear 3D OC and UV for liquids, easy to grab going through security. I do use a Eagle Creek, I don't know what we call this, for solid toiletries, razors, combs, etc, etc. So between the two of those, that's my toiletries. I just wanted to show that alternatively you could use something like this as a large snake charmer, which fits very nicely into the side, still plenty of room for the 3DOC, and that can go sideways, so it's almost perfectly sized to go sideways, the 3DOC. Some other things I would put in the end pockets are shoes, sneakers, trainers, dress shoes, whatever, probably in a bag or a packing cube. But I don't have any here just at the moment, but in the 30 you can still get smaller shoes, in the, or not 30, in the 45 there's no doubt you can get any size of shoes you want in there, probably multiple pairs if they're small, lightweight, kind of summer ones. The one thing I did want to show was the packing cube shoulder bag. So just going to put, this is an iPad Pro 10.5, which fits with plenty of room in a packing cube shoulder bag, and some Bose headphones. So imagine this was kind of like a travel, entertainment bag, whatever. This is in the old steel Halcyon. That's sized almost perfectly to go in the end compartment here. And I think that's really nice. That's a great way of using the space. An end compartment there, and then you can just grab this out if you're on a plane or traveling or whatever. That's a perfect way of using it. And did you notice that that goes in there even with this packing folder intruding into the end space? There's still lots of room in there. Another thing that when we travel as a family, my wife likes to carry a set of hair tongs, and I wanted to use these as an example of something slightly unusually shaped. This is again an Eagle Creek long, thin, I think they call it a cube. Again, perfectly sized just to go into the end pocket here. Of course it could equally go down into the main compartment, but this is another thing that tends to live in the end pocket when we travel as a family. Along with those end pockets, compartments, there are the end zip pockets as well, which are all the way to the bottom deep. They're much more useful in the Air 45 than the A30. The A30 have a smaller zip, so it's a little bit harder to get your hand into, but these are super practical and quite large. So these can be used for odds and ends, tickets. I wouldn't put anything thick in it like the 3DOC, just because it's really a thinner pocket. And just on that note, I will say, be careful what end you pack things in. So I've fallen into the trap here where if I were wearing this as a backpack here, that would mean that this end pocket is the one that touches the ground. And actually, at the moment, I've got my liquids and toiletries. So you just got to watch when you're packing it. Make sure you put anything squishable, breakable, fragile in this pocket, because if you use it in backpack mode and you keep putting it down on the ground, you don't want things here. So probably this pocket would be where I'd normally put my shoes, because they can be the piece touching the ground. Same applies for these end pockets. So the end pockets, pretty useful for odds and ends. I know when I've been through security, sometimes you have to empty your pockets and just dump the contents somewhere. This is perfect for that. So that's quite good. We showed earlier a number of bags that fit in here into the main compartment to make it one bag. We talked also about the packing Cube shoulder bag fitting in the end. I don't have a Sidekick at the moment. I've actually just traded it with someone and I'm waiting to buy a new one, but I know a Sidekick fits the end pocket very nicely. But so does a small cafe bag. So this is a navy steel, navy Cordura, just with, you know, a notepad and some bits in it. Similar to the Sidekick, similar to the Packing Cube shoulder bag, it's really nicely sized. And it doesn't really matter that there's still a gap at the top. You can put some odds and ends in there. It's the width and the width of the bag and the thickness of the pocket that's really critical for fitting something in the end. And you can see there that a small cafe bag can fit really nicely into the end. And take that out, it's a great 2-bag in one solution there. Again, everybody should have a small cafe bag in my opinion. On the back of the bag, we've seen that it can be carried in a number of different ways. We've got the handle here, we've got the shoulder strap, which I don't have on at the moment, and of course the backpack straps. And this pocket here is really good because if you don't want to use the backpack straps, they fold away, and actually it's big enough. This is a 13-inch laptop sized cache. You can even fit your laptop in there. And this is a wider and bigger space than the older version of the Aeronaut 45. You can't do this on the Aeronaut 30 because it's smaller, but again, for a laptop, this could fit in the main compartment or it can fit in the backpack. So lots of options here for how you carry it. I personally always use a shoulder strap or these carry handles. And the fact that they're detachable is really handy. So I'll grab it, whatever. What's nice about the detachable is that you can just put your coat, jacket, wherever, clip up the straps there. And this is a really comfortable pad. And then you'll find that your jacket and jumper, sweater can neatly just sit on the top, easily accessible when you need it. So this is the Aeronaut 45 then. It's a maximum carry-on allowance size bag, 45 litres. As I've shown, you can use it in lots of different loadouts, from personal carry to business. It's sized well enough for laptops inside, although it doesn't have a specific compartment. iPads can fit in the end. You can carry other bags within it, whether it's a small cafe bag, daylight backpack, briefcase. It's got huge amounts of layout orientations with packing cubes and folders. It really is the ultimate one bag, I think. I do have a TriStar, which I use for business, and there's specific reasons for that. I've another video using the TriStar and showing how that works as a mobile office. But for personal travel, I'll always go to the Aeronaut. Fantastic bag, lovely colour, very practical, and certainly one that will last you for many years to come. If you have any questions about the Aeronaut 45 or any of the things I've shown you, the bags within it, etc., please just put some comments below and I'll try and answer them. Or if you have any ideas of things you'd like to see, just let me know in the comments and we'll see what other videos we can pull together. Thanks for watching.